The night I walked away from my marriage did not involve screaming, tears, or slammed doors. It happened quietly, in a restaurant that once represented everything I believed love was supposed to be. Across from me sat Evan Brooks, the man I had been married to for 8 years. This was the same place where he had proposed, the same table where promises about forever were made. Now, it was where we agreed to end everything. He arrived late, there was no apology and no explanation. His eyes never left his phone. I did not need to ask who he was messaging, I already knew. Her name was Natalie Reed, his assistant, the woman who had slowly replaced me while I was still legally his wife. Out of habit, not affection, I ordered his favorite meal. He barely noticed. He ate without interest, smiled at his screen, and treated me like an obligation already completed. I told him I was leaving the city. I said I was moving to a small coastal town in Oregon to start over. For a brief moment, he looked surprised, then he shrugged and said it was my choice. He added that Natalie and he were planning their wedding, and that she understood him better. In that moment, something inside me went silent. I was not angry, I was not heartbroken, I was finished. This dinner was not about closure, it was about release. When he stood up, paid the bill, and walked away without looking back, I stayed seated, staring at a plate I could not finish. I finally understood the truth. I was not losing a husband, I was gaining my freedom. People often believe marriages end because of one dramatic betrayal. But mine ended quietly, piece by piece. When Evan and I first married, we were partners. We were young, hopeful, and building a future together. I believed in his potential when others doubted him. I supported his career and placed my own ambitions on pause, believing sacrifice was love. As his career grew, his world narrowed, his needs mattered, his stress mattered. My presence became optional, conversations turned into instructions. Affection faded into silence. I was no longer a partner but a background figure managing responsibilities. When I spoke about my goals, he barely listened. When I was exhausted, he told me I had it easy. From the outside, our marriage looked successful. Inside, I was slowly disappearing. Evan did not insult me, he dismissed me, that was worse. I stopped asking questions and stopped expecting appreciation. I told myself this was normal. I believed endurance meant loyalty. Natalie did not destroy our marriage. She entered a space that had been empty for a long time. I discovered the truth accidentally when Evan left his laptop open. Messages appeared that revealed a future where I no longer existed. I closed the screen quietly and felt clarity instead of rage. That night, Evan came home late, spoke about work, and avoided my eyes. I did not confront him. I understood that anger would only give him excuses. Silence gave me power. The next morning, I contacted a lawyer, gathered my documents, and withdrew emotionally. Evan noticed my distance but mistook it for submission. When I packed my bags, he asked why I was so calm. I told him I had already left emotionally and this time I was not returning. 2 weeks later, I moved to a small coastal town called Bayhaven. The house I moved into belonged to my grandmother. It was modest, quiet, and filled with memories that felt grounding. No one there knew my past. I was not someone's wife, I was simply myself. The silence was unfamiliar at first, but it became healing. I walked along the shoreline each morning and felt my thoughts slow. I realized how much energy I had spent shrinking myself. Here, no one expected that. I found work at a small design studio called Harborline Interiors. The owner, Marcus Lane, asked about my skills, not my personal life. He respected my ideas. For the first time, my voice mattered. I immersed myself in work, creativity, and routine. Healing arrived quietly. When news of Evan's wedding reached me, it felt distant. A friend named Claire mentioned it carefully, expecting pain. I felt none. While they celebrated in luxury, I cooked dinner, worked in my garden, and laughed with new friends. Indifference was not numbness, it was freedom. The morning after the wedding, Claire called again. This time, her tone was different. A guest at the wedding had spoken openly about me. He mentioned my life in Oregon, my success, and my inheritance from my grandmother. Word spread quickly. Evan heard everything. In that moment, the image he built shattered. Whispers filled the room, questions followed, doubt took root. The groom who valued control lost it publicly. Accusations erupted, a glass shattered, tables overturned. Guests recorded instead of intervening. The celebration collapsed into chaos. Videos spread online within hours, business partners saw them. Clients noticed, trust vanished, contracts disappeared. The company Evan built began to crumble. Employees left, support faded, Natalie vanished from public view. The life built on illusion collapsed under its weight. I watched none of it. I felt no satisfaction. This was not revenge. It was consequence. My life continued to grow. At work I was trusted with larger projects. My ideas were valued. Marcus offered me a raise and leadership on a major project. I walked home that day feeling something new, quiet pride. My garden bloomed. My evenings were peaceful. I traveled alone and learned without explaining myself. I realized strength was not endurance. Strength was leaving with dignity. I did not. When I was freed, I learned that walking away does not mean failure. It means choosing yourself. If you feel invisible, understand this.